In this video, we're going to walk you through the initial installation and setup of EasyStone into your version of CorelDRAW. Once the software is installed, we're going to go into CorelDRAW and open EasyStone and register the software. And then once the software has been registered, we're going to go into EasyStone and set up a couple of parameters that are important for you to know about and understand what those parameters do. And then we can actually begin the design process here inside CorelDRAW. Now, it's definitely recommended, if you haven't already watched our CorelDRAW workspace setup, that you watch that video and go ahead and download the custom workspace that we have created for you. Again, if you go to the website, go into the freebie section, you can download a custom workspace for CorelDRAW X5 and CorelDRAW X6. And what that custom workspace will do is it'll set up all the keyboard shortcuts that we use in the video demonstrations. It will also set up all of your dockers that we use, and it will install this custom rhinestone toolbar as well. So you'll be able to follow along all of our video tutorials and see exactly in your copy of CorelDRAW exactly what we're using within the video tutorials. Now, before we begin the installation process of EasyStone, we definitely want to make sure that CorelDRAW is closed. That is very important. We cannot install EasyStone with CorelDRAW open. Now, just because we've closed CorelDRAW, there are certain instances where it could possibly still be running in the background and we not even know it. So we've had that happen a time or two with customers. So let's double check to make sure absolutely CorelDRAW is not running. How do we do that? Well, all you need to do is right click on your taskbar, on your Windows taskbar, right click, and you'll see Task Manager is one of the options. So we're going to open up the Windows Task Manager and come to the Process tab, and everything should be listed alphabetically. Now, if you want, you can click on Image Name, and that will, you see it, this one starts with W, click on it again, that starts with A, and everything is listed alphabetically. If CorelDRAW was running, we would actually see an entry here for CorelDRAW. But we don't, so we can go ahead and close this, and we absolutely have confirmed CorelDRAW is not running. So now we would go to the installation process. If you go to the website and go into the freebie section, you've probably already downloaded the demo. So here it is. This example here I'm using is the version 3 beta 2 demo. So we have a zip file, and there is no special software required to open up a zip file within the Windows environment. So you don't need WinZip or WinRAR or any other type of zip utility. We're just going to right click on this and choose Open With. Now, I actually have a zip utility that I like to use. If you want to download it and try it out for yourself, it's free to download, and the demo is free. But what we're going to choose is we're going to choose Internet Explorer. Seems a little odd, I know, but and yours probably won't say Internet Explorer. Yours might say Windows Explorer, but we'll go ahead and choose Internet Explorer. And what that will do is it'll actually pop up Windows Explorer, and this is what you should see. So you see this here. And what I want you to pay special attention to and understand this is when you're going to install, make sure you're using the proper installer. This is very, very important. So EasyStone will work with CorelDRAW X5 and CorelDRAW X6, 32-bit version of CorelDRAW X6, not the 64-bit version. You say, well, what if I'm using a Windows 64-bit computer? Yes, you can use EasyStone on a Windows 64-bit computer, but with CorelDRAW X6 32-bit edition. For those of you using X5, doesn't matter because it was only available in a 32-bit version. Now, at some point, we will probably upgrade EasyStone to work with both the 32-bit and 64-bit versions of CorelDRAW. But as it relates to rhinestone design, there's really no advantage to using the X6 64-bit version. So for right now, X6 32-bit version. So here's what I want to really make a point here. If you're using Windows 64-bit, if you're using CorelDRAW X6, when you install, by default, it's going to want to install the 64-bit version of CorelDRAW. But if you go into your CorelDRAW CD or your download files if you bought the digital download version, you will see a folder that says x86. And in that x86 folder is a setup file to install the 32-bit version of CorelDRAW X6. So I know it sounds a little confusing, and it is, but here's the point to make. You can run X6 32-bit and X6 64-bit on a Windows 64-bit computer. So you can have them both installed simultaneously, but EasyStone will only work in the X6 32-bit version. Okay, now if you look at these download files, we're going to choose one of them. There's 4 different ones. So if you're using X5, with the 32-bit version of Windows, then you would use Win 32-bit. See, if you're using X5 and you have a Windows 64-bit computer, then you would choose Win 64-bit. And likewise with X6, this is not the 32-bit or 64-bit version of X6. This is the Windows 32-bit, Windows 64-bit. So you say, well, how do I know if I'm using Windows 32-bit or 64-bit? Most of you probably already know, but if you don't, right here on the desktop, you see where it says Computer. We could right-click on that and choose Properties, and it would actually show us here, right here, 64-bit operating system. You say, well, I don't have a computer icon on my desktop, and many of you may not. So if you go to the Start button and right-click on Computer here and click Properties, it will give you the same exact window. Okay? So that's how to confirm. If you don't already know, that's how to confirm what operating system you're using. Now, once we know that, then we can choose the appropriate installer. So I'm going to be installing EasyStone on an X6 Windows 64-bit computer. So let's just go ahead and drag and drop that to the desktop. And what that does, as you can see, it's extracting it from the zip file. And there is the desktop icon. Okay? Then from there, I'm just going to right-click, and I'm going to choose this option to run as administrator. And it will walk you through the process. So we're going to hit Next and Install. And it's going to quickly go through the installation process. Only takes a second. And see where it says this succeeded? We'll click OK. And then it will say it again, a little bit different. OK. And one more time. OK. That's what we want to see. Okay? And now we can finish the setup, and that's all there is to it. So now, with any kind of luck, when we go into CorelDRAW, we'll see EasyStone has been installed. So let's do that. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to fire up CorelDRAW here. And we'll create a new blank document. And then we're going to go into the Macro Manager. Now, if you've installed the CorelDRAW workspace, then you will see Macro Manager over here on the right in your Dockers. Okay, so there's our Macro Manager. These are all the macros that are currently installed in our system. If you don't see this, list, then we can come up to the Tools menu and choose Macro and choose Macro Manager right there. Okay, but we already have the Macro Manager open. Now, in your version of CorelDRAW, you're not going to see all these macros, and you're probably not going to see 2 copies of EasyStone. I have more than 1 copy of EasyStone installed on my system. So what we're going to do is just click that little plus next to EasyStone version 3, and see where it says Launch. We're going to click the little plus next to that, and here we have the EasyStone 3 launcher. And now, when you're initially using EasyStone, and we're using EasyStone in demo mode, you do need to be connected to the internet. Once you purchase the program, then you do not need to be connected to the internet. But at any rate, we'll go ahead and double click on this, and that will open EasyStone. Now, it will take initially, that first time we open it, it will take a few seconds to pop up, and you'll get this registration dialog box. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in my registration info. It warns us. It says, hey, you really need to make sure that you enter the proper email address, because we're going to send you an email that you have to validate the software registration. So make sure that this this email address is proper. So I'll send this to my personal email address. So there we go. and we have to hit submit, and you can see it says submitting your data. And all that's doing is just connecting to the server and sending you an email with your registration information. And now we'll go ahead and click OK, and it says I want to validate. So we just click on that button, and now it's going to send you a validation email. You have 5 days to validate your email address. Otherwise, it's just going to ask you to validate it again. All right, so now EasyStone is now open. So from here, we're going to choose a library file to work with. I have several. You probably will only have one, and it'll probably be called Standard. So we'll click on our Standard library. And then once you do that, then you have all of your stone colors to choose from that exist in that particular library. So let's go ahead and pick one. Now, right now, if you look at the drop-down for size and spacing, there's nothing there. So what we're going to do is add some stone sizes and some stone spacing. Those are the initial parameters that we want to set up. So we're going to go into our miscellaneous tab here, and we're going to click on stone sizes and spacing. And we've set up these stone ranges for you, and we're going to talk more about what these are, what they do, and how EasyStone works with these stone ranges. But for right now, what we want to do is set up some spacing. So we're going to set up, I usually use a 1/2 millimeter, and these are millimeter values that we want to enter. So I'll enter in a 1/2 millimeter, I'll enter in 1, I'll enter in maybe 2, 4, and 6. Whatever you want to do, all you have to do is put a comma in between those values. So we're going to go ahead and next thing we're going to take a look at is the fixed size. So when we're creating our rhinestone templates, what actual fixed size do we want to use for our circle sizes in our templates? Well, for me, I use 2.6 for SS6. I use 3.4 for SS10, and I use 4.4 for SS16. And obviously we can add some additional custom sizes if you use 20s, 30s, 34s, maybe some of you use 8s or 12s. Whatever you want to do, you can set those up however you want to. These are good values to start with. Now the actual fixed size is something that you really need to determine, and the only way to determine that is to download our cutter test file, and what that has is a bunch of predefined circles that you cut out with your cutter. And once you've done that, then you can brush in your stones into that test file and see which diameter circle works best for the template material you're using, the blade that you're using, the cutter that you're using, the rhinestones that you're using. There's a lot of variables that go into determining what fixed size circle is going to work best for your particular setup. You'll notice that if you use Korean grade stones versus, say, a machine cut stone, either a Bella or some type of other machine cut stone, you'll notice that the actual diameter of the circles for our templates will vary slightly depending on the type of rhinestone that we're using. So keep that in mind. These aren't written in stone. Yours may be exactly what we use, or they may be slightly different from what we use. So the best thing to do, download that test file that we have on our website in that freebie section, cut it out, and then find out which circles work best for your SS6 stones, which circles work best for SS10, which circles work best for SS16, and then you'll know what size circle value to enter here. So we're going to go ahead and click on Save Defaults. And what that will do now, if you look in your drop-down list, now you'll see those values that we entered. See 0.5, 1, 2, 4, and 6, and all of our stone sizes. Okay, so let's just quickly draw something out. We'll draw a little circle. We're going to pick, hey, I need these to be SS10 stones, so we use 3.4 for SS10. And then the spacing between stones, let's go ahead and do at 1/2 millimeter. And then we'll come to our stone tab, and we'll choose Add Stones. And you can see EasyStone simply added stones to that circle. If we wanted to change that to say, well, what if we use 4 millimeter spacing? All we have to do is click Add Stones again. And let's go ahead and add stones again. And now you can see we have 4 millimeter spacing there between stones. Very, very easy to make those changes. So what if we wanted 1 millimeter? And then you could see it would add some additional stones there. All right, so that's it. That's the basic setup, installing, registering, setting up our stone sizes and the spacing. And now we're ready to delve into some more detailed videos on how to use all the various functions here inside EasyStone.